Our next speaker, Piper, has been a game designer at PikPok for 2 years now, while also running her business Mango Cat Creations for the past 5 years, doing manufacturing and illustration work. Her passion lies with games, anything creative, and in general, just bringing color and a bit of sparkle to the world. And this is true. I've had the joy of seeing Piper when she was a student, doing her own business, and helping hire her as a badass game designer, continuing that tradition in PikPok without me, which is why I know the company is in good hands. Come on up, Piper Van Rensfeld.
All right, hello. My name is Piper, and I came to do a talk, my first design talk actually, as a designer, and it was going to be this like grandiose, like multidisciplinary design makes you a better designer. And then my house flooded in the Wellington floods. Yes. My whole art studio was underwater. So everyone's safe, we're fine, we're still living in the house. So I requested, like, can I have chair and microphone and just do a chill talk, please? And that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. I looked at this like theme, like checkpoint, plus 10 XP. I was thinking about, where was I 10 years ago? Oh, I was 14, probably chilling at home watching Minecraft videos or something. I was in high school. Where 3 years later, I would start to join the creative industry as a graphic designer for my web developer parents. I've done a lot since then. I'm a designer at PikPok in game design. I was an illustrator and artist. I have been by trade for like 6 years, 7 years. And I love to speak. I think I don't usually practice too much for these, and everyone says, oh, you're fine, you're a professional yapper. And I feel like that could not be more true. And my heart and my passion lies in my business, Mango Cat Creations, which I started as a whim, as a student. And we're gonna go into that today. Overall though, I've noticed that my main thing is like the absolute crave for knowledge and learning new things that I might not have been comfortable with, but like, just want to learn. And I also realized that like cross-disciplinary design and learning new things makes you a better creative in general, and also like fills your creative cup and gets you more like into it. And I also found it helps burnout a lot too. But first, we're going to start from the beginning. This was my first really big creative learning. I was second year university, and I saw people making polymer clay earrings on TikTok during the lockdown era, and I was like, oh, I could start making stuff and selling it. So I sold polymer clay earrings at the Wellington Collectives, and it did not go well, like at all. Until I started trusting myself as a designer and making my own art. And all of a sudden, this huge business had landed on my lap. I all of a sudden went from taking the $100 I had in my bank account for this business and timesing it by 10,000. And it just like exponentially grew. And all of a sudden I had to learn and fill all the seats that comes with a creative business. I learnt a lot of things about manufacturing and also graphic design and stuff like that. You can see my first stall with the little polymer clay earrings and free stickers. And now this was my last Armageddon stall where I had manufactured plush, over 200 styles of stickers, and just a general, more creative and cohesive theme in general. And also, I became a better artist. That's the biggest thing. Making a business was the most productive thing for my art business. I wasn't actually originally planning to become a game designer. Funny thing, I actually didn't know what a game designer was when Rick first came to me and asked me to be a game designer, but I was just desperate to join the industry. I loved games, and I loved everything creative, and the more I looked into it, I realized game design was going to enable me to be this cross-disciplinary creative and further my portfolio in these areas as well. Because I originally was a concept designer, and before that, I wanted to become a costume designer and work in film. But I ended up moving into games. And I actually had never really designed a game, I would say. I've drawn for a game. This was actually my first talk at NZGDC. I did it for my game called Toby and Botany, and Rick actually helped me rewrite the game cycle, which is very funny. But I decided to become a game designer despite not actually having any game experience, really. Didn't do a game jam or anything like that. But my business and everything had me set up for it to be a creative and be comfortable in games. But the question kind of came to me, is like, what is design? Now, I asked this to a lot of the designers, and no one will give me the same answer, ever. And I think it's very subjective. A lot of people say that we are like the vision holder of the game itself, and we are making things like systems and rules and make the game fun for players. But I also like to think of us as the glue where we can fit in where we're needed within the game. And that's where we go. We interact with everyone as game designers. And that's when I realized that doing my business and all these other things that I've been picking up along the way and learning made me easier to talk to other disciplines, especially ones that I had experience in, like art and UI, and also things like community, because I've done my own social media for many years. And that's when I kind of changed my mindset once again to go back into learning. I realized that learning anything would make you a better game designer. I started amping it up more and started reaching out at work, and on my lab days, I started experimenting with the game I was working on. I was currently working on Rival Stars Horse Racing, and I started going into textures and drawing my own. And then it got to the point where I said, hey, I made these. And they said, do you want to put it in game? And yes, now they're in game. I did all these drawings. And so I went from game designer to game designer, plus I know how to do some texturing and stuff like that. And I found this so fulfilling and so exciting to be able to, like, I did the balancing for these, but I also did the art. And I started noticing creative processes that felt inherently mine. And I found it so fulfilling. So I decided last year actually to take a break from all these talks and everything like that and do that at home too. I manufactured my first stuffed animal, which was a living nightmare actually. It was 6 months of sending about 20 A4 pages that looked like that to try fix him from looking very, very ugly and make him cute and lovable like he is now. That's Glorp. And then I also run like a kind of like a bucket list artist goal every year, and my one last year was to design a novel cover, which I met someone at Armageddon and said, do you want to do the Queer Anthology of Auckland's novel cover? And I'm like, yeah. So it's been very fulfilling and very cool. First time I've actually been like kind of a published artist for at least hard physical stuff, which was very cool. Never done graphic design to that extent, and I just figured it out. Do not judge my like kerning or anything like that. I don't know how that works. And then I also got into 3D sculpting and 3D modeling, which I brushed over in university, but found a whole new love in the 3D printing community. And the first thing I did when I got my 3D printer was print a 2-foot salmon. Which I don't know, don't ask me why, I just like felt like it, you know. But doing all this, I realized that I would not be good at everything. And that is okay. I still deep down, I really want to learn everything, but I know some things I won't be as good at. And to always trust in the professionals on your team, I'm not gonna ever be as good as them, but if I can know a little bit of the language they speak, because I like to see different disciplines as speaking a whole different language or different way of communication style. And knowing a bit about that subject makes you easier to communicate with your team and work all together. But graphic design will forever be my burden. And I always joke about how I cannot do graphic design, coding, or crochet. But what can you do? Number one of my biggest learning sources, and I feel like one of the main reasons I was hired as well, was because I play games. I play so many games and had an inheritable knowledge of games itself, had my own gaming PC at 3 years old, and my parents have always encouraged this kind of culture on me and my brother and sister, and I feel like I wouldn't be here without that. There we go. The other thing is to create. I found just like reaching out, finding new things that I really do not know what to do and kind of pulling it apart, talking to people that know what they're doing, looking at YouTube tutorials, and just making stuff made me a much better designer. And I kind of used things that I learned in other disciplines to bring back to game design because it all connects. And also challenge yourself. That's my thing. I always am looking for a challenge. My biggest challenge every year is when I do the Pretty Ugly exhibition. I make it a rule to do something that I've never done before. And last year I did toy making, and then, the year before that I did toy making, and then last year I did the 3D printing, and now I can't stop 3D printing. And it just leads you to something that you didn't know you were really interested in, or something you didn't know you were really good at. Also, maybe something you didn't know would help your main discipline. Here's some resources. I actually fully learned how to draw from Udemy and then, of course, university, but Udemy was like my bridge to it. I get the $200 courses for $10 or something like that. It's great. You'll see my very cursed list of what I'm currently learning right now, which is C#, Cantonese, and graphic design. Yes, and I also have some softwares that I've been using. I actually don't use much Adobe anymore because I've kind of moved over to Affinity, which is a very good kind of all-in-one Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, which I've been really enjoying jumping in between. It's excellent. They also have a much better treatment with AI and art. And of course, I'm a Procreate. I'm an iPad kid. I just am. And I do all my 3D models on my iPad and do touch-ups in Blender. So it's actually quite accessible. And there's also new maker spaces in the library. So now you can do a little bit of Nomad on your iPad and take it to the library, and they'll print it for you. So. Also, just play more games with varying platforms. I have the weirdest mix of games that I play. I love shooters. I love roguelikes and like silly little goofy indie stuff. And then the Genshin Mines have brought me back in recently, which is very dangerous. But thank you so much. I hope that you'll try something new and bring it back to your discipline and, yeah, realize that everything is design and you'll learn anything from doing basically anything.
I believe we have time for questions as part of talk. You guys can keep me on time, but we do have time for questions for Piper.
Hello, hi. Where do you find the time to do all of this in addition to your professional career?
So I did the like careers thing last night, and this was my most asked question every single time. And the thing is like I was supposed to bring this up. I'm a bit all over the place because I did not have time to practice this because my bottom floor has no walls right now. And my biggest thing is like, it's okay to deprioritize things. I will balance things, like some weekends I'll have time and I will be able to create something new or work on Mango Cat and stuff like that, but sometimes I won't. And is it really gonna matter if I don't release those stickers like 2 weeks earlier? No, it doesn't. I can deprioritize it and do it another time and find what works for me. I also, another point that was brought up last night, it was really good. Separate your space is a huge thing. I have my art studio downstairs and I just shut it off and it lets me, I can go to work and then I can go down there and work on Mango Cat a bit if I have time. But if I don't, it's like being kind to yourself and prioritizing what works for you.
Is there a particular obscure skill that you learned that had a very unexpected application that you weren't necessarily expecting?
Oh my God. Let me think. Off the top of my head, plush manufacturing taught me like how to be the client. I feel like that gave me a big thing. Is like sometimes it taught me how to speak clearer as a client, so that they can understand me. And it made me really swap like sides and go like, oh, I need to be more like ask for more, what to ask for, but also to be more gentle with my clients, because I realized how hard it is to like have that communication. And it really gave me a chance to be on that other side. And it also works really well for games, because then you're thinking about the player. It's like kind of that swapping the side and like what works. And like that's also why I play a lot of games. I feel like playing games also like gives you that swap, and you become the client all of a sudden, and it makes you better at like being a creative, doing that swap and like becoming that client or that player.
Thank you. Thank you, Piper. Find her outside.